All right. Welcome to the Explorer Classroom. My name is Tutapatra Deshanupong, Dut for short, and I am so glad you're able to join us here today. At National Geographic, we believe that anyone can be an explorer, and you have the power to make a difference in the world no matter how old you are. Explorer Classroom is here to inspire you with stories from the field and connect you with our National Geographic Explorers live to answer your questions. This June, Explorer Classroom will be focused on exploration. We hope to empower learners like you to keep exploring, as many of you are heading into a much needed summer break. Here in the United States, we are also celebrating Pride Month. To our viewers and explorers who identify as part of this group, we see you and we celebrate you. Today, our explorer is Edem Mahu. Edem is a marine geochemist who is passionate about water conservation and studying underwater reefs. Today, she will discuss the important role that oysters play in these ecosystems and why we need these little friends to protect the ocean. Before we get into today's lesson, I would like to welcome our registered viewers who join us from around the globe. So special shout out for today goes to Cordelia Hills Elementary School, Hayden Secondary School, Vina Avenue Elementary School, Hunting Ridge Elementary, Northern Elementary, Thorndale Public School, and all the homeschools out there. We are thrilled to have you all here. And with that, let's get started with the Explorer Classroom. It's time to meet them and learn all about the importance of the oyster reef. Right, Edem, take it away.
Thank you very much, Jules, and thank you all for making time to join me this evening. As you can see, it's night here where I am, and I have a little technical problem. So the power in my house just went out, and so you can see that I am using a lantern in the background, so you will not see my image so clearly. But yes, that is part of the work that we do. Sometimes we get to the field and we don't even have power, but we still have to work. Okay, so before we start with today's talk, why don't I tell you a little bit about myself? My name is Edem Mahu and I am from Ghana. Ghana is a small but beautiful and warm country in the western coast of Africa. And in Ghana, I come from the Volta region. Ghana has 16 regions, and the Volta region is one of the coastal regions that we have in the country. And that is probably one of the reasons why I'm so connected to the ocean and the sea. When I am not in the Volta region, I am in Accra. Accra is the capital town of Ghana. And inside Accra, you will find Ghana's premier university, the University of Ghana. My passion includes protecting marine life and their environments. Okay, so today we are going to talk about oysters, and I brought an oyster here to show to those of you who probably have not seen one before. I know a lot of you have seen oysters, but some of us may not have seen one before. So this is an oyster I am holding in my hand, and usually you find them in this, you find them sticking to each other or attacking to each other to form the complex underwater reefs that we have. Okay, so one unique thing about oysters is that they are fishes that grow shells. So when they are babies, they don't have shells. When they are hatched fresh, they don't have shells. But they are able to pick up minerals from the water to build a shell that protects them. Oysters love the salty waters on all continents. They eat very tiny plants in the ocean called phytoplankton. And one cool thing about these oysters is that a female oyster can produce as many as 100 million eggs in a single season. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Now let's talk a bit about oyster habitats. So you will find oysters usually in the coastal environment. You find them in the open ocean, and in the open ocean, they sometimes attach themselves to rocks, or they just um, attach themselves to the bottom where they build on each other. They attach to each other to form the reefs that we are talking about. Or you can find them in the estuaries where the river connects to the oceans, or in the isolated systems or water bodies that we found along the coast, like in the lagoons. And you also find them in mangroves. So mangroves are special plants that grow in intertidal areas of the ocean, and you will find these oysters in the mangroves as well. Okay, so now let's talk about the power of oysters. And the first thing that I want to share with you today about oysters is the fact that they are a powerhouse of nutrients. Oyster meat is packed with proteins, packed with vitamins, minerals, and all the micronutrients that you can think about that makes our bodies healthy. And of course, they are very delicious. I am sure most of you here have tasted oysters. Another powerful thing about oysters is that they promote biodiversity. Yes, so the reefs that oysters build become a habitat or a home for several other organisms in the water, including fish and the juvenile, the small, the baby fishes. Now, these baby fishes usually want to run away from predators or other animals that want to feed on them, and they prefer to be in places like inside the oyster reef. So you find these fishes in the reef, and so these oyster reefs help to what promote biodiversity in the aquatic environment. Another powerful thing about the oysters is that they are able to purify the water. In fact, three oysters can clean or purify as much as 1 barrel of water in a day. That is about 120 liters of water. Isn't that powerful? Yes, oysters are able to do that. Then another cool thing about oysters is the fact that they protect our coast from flooding and erosion and other natural disasters. They are able to help stabilize our coastlines, especially communities that are very vulnerable to flooding and erosion. We have When they have oyster reefs, they are able to build more resilience to these hazards. Then oysters are an environmental sensor, or they are environmental sensors. So the shells of the oysters are so unique. They are able to take up information from their environment, take up information such as temperature, salinity, nutrients, or how hot or cold the water is, and how nutrient or how rich the water is. They are able to take up all this information into their shells. So when they die, we still have this information in their shell. And we are able to go for these oyster shells even 1,000 years, 10,000 years, or more than that after they are dead, and use their shells to tell or talk about the conditions of their environments when they are alive. That is very, very important because as scientists, we want to know our past. And so oysters are able to take us back into the past. Isn't that so powerful? Okay, so despite all these cool things about oysters, it is rather sad that we humans are impacting oysters in a very negative way. And right now, what I'm going to do with you now is to share a few questions with you, and then you think through and help me or tell us whether you think these are ways by which oysters or humans are impacting oysters in a negative way. The first question is whether oysters or oyster habitats are being polluted by human beings. Yes. Do you think that oyster habitats are under pollution threat? Okay, so my ears are widely open. If your answer is yes, you can say yes. If it's no, you can say no. But I think I hear a lot of yeses. And so, yes, indeed, humans are polluting oyster environments. Habitat loss. Do we think that humans are making oysters lose their habitats? What do you think? Yes, I can hear some yeses. Yes, we are making oysters lose their habitats. Are we making the environment or the waters of oysters become too acidic? Yes, we have issues like climate change. We have humans emitting a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And this carbon dioxide is taken up by the tiny plants, the phytoplankton, but it also dissolves in the ocean, and that makes the water becomes acidic. Now, with that clue, do you think that oyster environments are becoming acidic? Yes, they are becoming acidic, and the threat is that when the water becomes acidic, their shells get dissolved. They are not able to build their shells. The next thing is temperature. Do we think that humans are changing the temperatures of oyster environments? What do you think? We have climate change, we have global warming. Do we think that oyster habitats are becoming warmer? Yes, the answer is yes. We are making their habitats become so hot or warm. And because of that, that is also affecting their physiology. Are we making oyster habitats become too salty? And that is what we mean by salinity. Are they becoming too salty? Yes, we have climate change here again. And as a result of that, we have oyster habitats becoming so that we have precipitation regimes changing, or places are having too much rainfall, which is leading to oyster habitats becoming really, really less salty. And there are other human activities that are causing this, like damming of rivers and streams and what have you. These are all causing the habitats of these oysters to change. Now, the last but not the least, are we over harvesting oysters? Are we taking more oysters than we should as people? What is the answer? Your guess is as good as mine. We are over harvesting oysters. In fact, what we are doing is we are harvesting even the baby oysters so that they are not able to even grow to that age where they can reproduce and replenish the stock. So yes, indeed, we are over harvesting oysters. Yes, but all hope is not lost. We can bring back our oysters. In fact, did you know that we can help bring back these lost oysters? Yes, we can. Bringing back something that we have lost is called restoration. And indeed, globally, there are several conservationists and oyster enthusiasts like myself around the world who are working hard to restore our lost oyster reefs. And now I'm going to take you through some of the efforts we are making in Ghana to bring back our lost oysters. So with me there and my team, we are working on the Anyanwi Creek in the Volta region where I come from. And this creek used to support a lot of healthy oysters. It has several mangroves. You can see the mangroves, those plants that you're seeing in the pictures. And these mangroves serve as a habitat for these oysters. But currently we are losing most of these oysters. And so what we are trying to do is to investigate the environment of these oysters to see whether the conditions in their environment are so good, and then see if we can roll out oyster restoration activities in the Anyanui Creek. Okay, so to study the habitat of oysters, we have to engage in a whole lot of exercises or activities. And what you are seeing there in the image is a water quality probe. What do we do with a water quality probe? We use that to collect information. We use that to collect basic information such as temperature, salinity, dissolved oxygen, pH of the oyster environment. Now we also collect water for analysis. So we collect water to analyze for nutrients in the oyster environment. You remember I said oysters eat phytoplankton. That is their food. That is what they love. And these are plants. And we know that plants need nutrients to grow. So we use this bottle. It's a special bottle. It's called the Niskin bottle to collect water and use that in our analysis to test whether the water is good for the phytoplankton to be able to grow. Okay, then you can see in this image, we have that net there. That is a planting net, and this net we use in collecting water so we can analyze to see if there is food in the water for the oysters. So this special net is called the planting net with very tiny mesh size. It's as tiny as 30 micrometers. Those are the sizes of the pores or the holes of the net. You cannot see them with your eyes. So we use that to collect the water and analyze that for the phytoplankton or the food of the oysters. Then we also have what we call a circuit disc. This circuit disc helps us test the transparency of the water. You know, for plants to be able to make their own food, they need light in addition to nutrients. And so what we are doing basically is to see how far light is able to go into the water, because that informs us as to whether the plant or the phytoplankton are able to make enough food so the oysters can also get enough food to eat. Now with all this, we bring all this to the lab and then we analyze them in the microscope. So you can see the microscope there. We analyze the water in the microscope, and then we also analyze the water using the spectrophotometer for nutrients. In addition to that, we also deploy cages on the water, and these cages have oysters in them. So every month we have several of these cages at different parts or locations in the creek. And then every month we go in there to go and collect information on how well the oysters are growing. So we take their length, their width, and also their weight. And all this is helping us to be able to prioritize where we can practice or start oyster restoration activities in Anyanui Creek, which is located again in Ghana. Now, you can also make a difference. You can make a difference in so many ways. You can make a difference by talking to your friends. and your family about how to save oyster habitats, how to protect them. We have to make sure we are not polluting them. You can also make a difference by going around or looking around your community to see if there is any restoration effort happening at all, and you can engage in these exercises as citizen scientists. With that, I want to thank you all for helping us to protect and bring back our oysters. And on that note, we end this presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Edem, and thank you to all of the students and teachers watching today. We hope you join many, many more of our futures event. I'll be on Outlook for you all. And with that, that's it for the show today. Have a great day, everyone. Stay curious and keep exploring. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everyone.